Welcome everybody to our weekly BrightID AMA. It's good to have you here. Here we just talk about anything that we want to related to BrightID, whatever's on our minds, whatever's recent, and answer any questions that people may have. So what's on people's minds this week of December 8th, 2022?
Well, right now it just was a success, the merge in the Genesis network. Gnosis network.
Oh yeah,
just made the
Gnosis,
merge.
right?
Yeah,
So that's
just 5 minutes
a
ago.
cool event for BrightDAO, which is hosted on Gnosis chain, that they switched to proof of stake. That was something that Martin wanted to do. So, and of course he also got the support of the community to do that. So
they are celebrating right now.
Celebrating right now. That's great. Where's the celebration happening? Is it happening on YouTube or
in their Discord? I think is the best. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a success, so it's good for everyone in the end.
Nice. Oh yeah, I see 99 people in their live broadcast. So in the merge broadcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me let's see what happens if we go in there and join.
I assume you are looking at various metrics. Can you give an update?
Oh, I hear Martin talking.
What's going on?
Okay, so let's just join in for a minute and then we'll get back to it.
They're talking.
Yeah,
the node I have on the platform.
Let's see.
For the merge, I purposely misconfigured the node with very high TTD, so it follows the wrong chain.
Can you guys hear what they're saying?
What we expected to see is that every single legacy Gnosis execution validator stop participating on the chain, so the chain essentially just halts and does not progress. And that's what we are seeing. So that node, its head is from 22 minutes ago, and the latest block it has is from before proof of stake. So on that regard, all good. The all chain is officially dead.
Right. But that was a execution node, right? Execution layer node.
Yes, correct. It was an FRMI node that I override the TTD to a very high value.
Did someone, or did you also kind of do you also know about consensus client nodes, or I guess they forked already off at Bellatrix.
Yeah, I did that for Bellatrix to track the chain. I did not do so for here. The problem is that it's harder to collect data because when there is so little participation,
they're giving a POAP. You can claim it.
So participation is very misleading.
Oh, how do you claim the POAP?
When
in the general, you were seeing it in the chat.
Okay.
10%.
Let's go claim our POAPs right now.
Just because the chain was unlucky and there were no blocks, so then there is no.
Okay, so what do we do to claim our POAP? We go to general.
The decision on chain.
Yeah, I think there is someone pays that. Just send the wallet that you want to claim it.
So
that's all. Just post the wallet there.
Let's look for POAP.
Is so small that they can't even get one
is it?
Yeah, one slot in an epoch. And I think on Gnosis chain it's even a little bit harder because we only have
wait, people are just posting their ETH addresses in here. Is that all you need to do?
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah,
chat right here.
There are no blocks. Participation on chain is 0%.
Let's post our.
In theory, nodes could track gossip participation, and I think we do at the fourth choice level, but that's not exposed in metrics that are really readily available.
Okay, I get my Gnosis merge POAP. All right, great.
And to comment on other metrics, so participation is climbing. We are at 90, 91, 92%
well,
now.
This was an interesting one because
when we had the merge,
I'll stop.
We went to 80 something percent.
But that was an interesting one because
in the metrics,
Actually, I'll keep sharing for now, but I deafened it so that I don't have to hear it because it's distracting to try to talk and listen at the same time. So, yeah, so I just turned off the sound, but anybody who wants to follow along can. But this was an interesting one because unlike the Ethereum mainnet merge, this one merged from proof of authority to proof of stake. And that's an interesting discussion point. I've talked to Martin about, well, what does he think about proof of authority? What does he think about ID chain, which is going to stay proof of authority? And, you know, what does he think of proof of work and stuff like that? So, yeah, it's interesting.
But it has its risks, right? If something could happen, something bad could happen.
We'll see. So here's what I worry about. I mean, Ethereum has so much money behind it that it's hard to imagine an attack on the Ethereum mainnet proof of stake.
Yeah.
But something like Gnosis chain, I guess we should see how much monetary value is being staked here, because it's like, I wonder how hard it would be to attack Gnosis chain, just like a monetary attack, if it would be worthwhile. So that's an interesting question. And the idea with ID chain is that it's proof of authority, but you use verified unique human accounts in the mix. And so it's like, that's where your authority comes from, is from people delegating to you their unique account. So it's kind of like, it's almost like proof of stake, but what you're staking is accounts and not like unique human accounts and not money. And so yeah, as long as BrightID works, then you can't attack the system by just like buying all the accounts. So and
so it's a good, I mean, it's a good topic right now because we are not talking about anything related directly with BrightID, but we can make the bridge to talk about maybe AD chain. What do you think about it? How AD
yeah,
chains
I mean,
work?
yeah, so ID chain is interesting because so we need something that's always going to stay cheap. So let me stop sharing that. So we need something that's always going to stay cheap, and that's why we didn't even go with like well, Matic approached us early on, and they're like, hey, we're building this new chain called Matic, do you want, and we'll incentivize you to be, for BrightID to be on Matic. But the problem is it's like there was nothing. Well, like Polygon didn't really have anything new that they were pitching other than, hey, we're really good at marketing and we're gonna just like talk to a lot of businesses and get everybody to use our chain. Well, okay, fine, whatever. You don't have any new technology, great. Now that they have billions of dollars, now they can start thinking about maybe building some new technology. And one of the things that they are building that I think is kind of interesting is they were building something that is like a scalability solution for storage on blockchains. So let me see if I can find this. But this is the type of thing that is useful for ID chain. We want ID chain to be able to scale to a world size application. And so like if you look at something like Gnosis chain or Ethereum mainnet or things like that. It's not clear, or Polygon. It's not clear how that can scale to world scale. But ID chain has an architecture that could scale to world scale. But Polygon has something interesting that they've come out with since then. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it. I think it's called Avail. So this was something that I think is interesting. So let me share this. Yeah, I'll share my screen and just kind of read along with this. But this is something, this is like a similar approach to what ID chain wants to do. Which is like to look at what's in the block and see if basically see if you can increase the throughput by improving block production by being very careful about what's in a block. And I mean, Vitalik has talked about this too, about like how you can like maximize the compression of what's stored in a block. But the interesting thing is, this is like another network that is just for holding data and making data available. And the interesting thing, you can kind of almost think of BrightID as that way, and ID chain is mostly just used for getting timestamps and coming to consensus about the state of BrightID, but it doesn't actually need to even, for BrightID, it doesn't even use the EVM that it has available. It just puts like a little bit of metadata in some like zero value transactions that it signs, and then the other BrightID nodes read that. And so it's not even using like all the stuff that makes it difficult for Ethereum to scale. And so that's similar to what this Polygon Avail is doing. It's like a different layer. So it'd be almost like, so you could run BrightID on this instead, and then it would be more scalable. But I'm not sure how what they don't say in this article is they don't say how, and maybe they haven't even figured this out yet. Like, how does it choose who the nodes are? How does it come to consensus, stuff like that? I don't even think it talks about that in there. So
it's more like a concept, more like the technical process.
no, they have a test net.
Oh.
So we could we could look at how the test net is run. Okay, so let's see how the Avail testnet is run. Let's see. Okay.
Modular blockchain future.
Okay. Does it even say here? Maybe there's like a deeper doc into this, but that I would be interested to know. Maybe they haven't figured it out. Like sometimes for test nets, you could use something like proof of authority, or you could use like proof of work where it's not really like, well, actually, Ethereum, I think, had to get rid of their proof of work ones because it was just too easy to exploit. And it kept on getting attacked.
But what they say here in this paragraph is said in the long term, Avail, that is the name of the network, right? Yeah. I will become the base layer for thousands of chains built atop of it. Enable trustless bridges between blockchain worlds. That is, they want to be.
Everybody wants to do that.
Yeah, it's weird the way that they promote it.
Yeah.
That Yeah, it's like thousands of chains on top of this layer. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's basically gonna free up blockchains, kind of like how I said ID chain doesn't have to store data or even use the EVM.
Yeah.
It's um it's trying to be a solution like that where you
But you can build on AD chain, right? You
Yeah.
can make
yes, you
you can
can use the EVM, but if it became a popular chain where the EVM was being used a lot and there's lots of contention for gas, then it would run into scaling problems. But like I said, BrightID itself barely spends any gas to do what it needs to do because it just adds some data to really cheap transactions and doesn't actually execute anything. The BrightID,
Manabase. I think Manabase project is on the AD chain, right? Manabase.
yeah, there's stuff on there, but there's not anything big on there. And BrightID, I mean, BrightID uses it, but BrightID doesn't use the EVM. It's just passing messages. It's just using the transactions to pass messages to other BrightID nodes, pass messages to each other using it. And so they use it for coordination, which is helpful because they need some way to coordinate. And so that's what we're using. It's a nice decentralized way to coordinate. And I think the best thing about ID chain is the way that the architecture talks about the consensus, how consensus is achieved, the way that it uses that everybody can. So the way it works is if you're using BrightID, it's because you're using an app. That's like everyone uses it. You don't just use BrightID for the heck of it. You use it because you're using an app.
Yeah.
So your delegation for your unique account automatically goes to the first app that onboarded you or sponsored you. Then we take kind of the same way the United Nations does it, which is they take the square root of the number of citizens in each country so that you don't get China like having all the votes in the United Nations. So we do the same thing. So the most popular apps, actually all apps get the square root of the number of users that they've sponsored so that that avoids one app from overpowering all the others. And then, so that's the automated delegation, but you can change your delegation. So you could delegate to yourself or your friend if you wanted to vote on who the validators are on ID chain. And so that's, I really like that as a way to form consensus without requiring so much capital to be locked up. There's immense value in a unique account. I mean, we want a BrightID to be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, but you don't have to cash it in, and you don't have to like lock it up so that you can't use it somewhere else. You just have to, but you can use all that value behind your BrightID. And as long as we get people to, as long as there's lots of uses for BrightID so that people don't have to sell it, they don't feel like they have to sell it and lose their BrightID. They keep their BrightID, they don't sell it, but they use it. So as long as a powerful bad actor can't come in and buy a bunch of BrightIDs, as long as people are like, no, I need my BrightID because it's worth a lot of money for these other things I'm using it for, so I don't want to sell it, don't want to rent it, then this sort of system works. So that's one of the things that I like about ID chain. And I don't know, I mean, maybe we could convince other networks to use that same model, but I think maybe ID chain has to prove that it works first before other people
But
use it.
there is an improvement in the future of the AD chain could be improved, or that is done with everything that can be done with
Oh
AD
no, it
chain?
definitely, I mean, this sort of voting that I've talked about, we need to keep making improvements. So it's a fork of Go Ethereum. You want to make other clients, you want to take you want to keep making improvements to the protocol that does the consensus. So we started out with Click, which is a proof of authority consensus mechanism as the basis, but it can always be improved. And so here's the trickiest part about ID chain is there's no, unlike being a validator on other chains, sorry, let me back up. You can get paid to be a validator on ID chain. That's not the issue. The issue is there's no speculative token. So everything like Matic, Ethereum, I see this as a detriment, that they have these speculative tokens, because it's like, okay, great, now I can't use Ethereum because the way I want to, because it has this speculative token. So it puts a damper on a lot of the things that you would want to use it for, but it also ensures that you can use the token itself for staking because it's valuable, yada yada. If you don't need to do that, then you still need some way for, like, it's like, well, why would people, it's funny because people don't get interested in something that's not gonna, that they can't speculate on and is not gonna make them money. So like a lot of people are on Ethereum mainnet because of the price of Ethereum has driven like a lot of decentralized finance tools to want to use it, because there's already value on there in the native token. So ID chain doesn't have that at all. It's catering towards apps that don't really have a business model and aren't financially based, which is great, except that now like no one's interested in it, because right now, and maybe forever, I don't know, people are more interested in money. So if you tell someone that there's a free application that can scale to billions of users, they're like, like show me something that has to do with money, and then I'll be interested. Like show me an application that will make me rich, and then that'll be interesting to me. So that's what it doesn't have, and that's why people aren't going there. And it's like, you look at Gnosis chain, it has the same problem, but not as bad. Now that it has Gnosis, I mean, Martin and other people have made sure that there's lots of Gnosis tokens on there, providing some liquidity. But without Gnosis chain's help, it's like the biggest asset on there was Honey from OneHive. And that's dropped a lot in value, unfortunately, because I think OneHive's an awesome project. So I don't understand why it's dropping in value, but I don't know. It's like, yeah, there's just not a lot of money on there. There's not a lot of money on ID chain. You get something like Matic. It's like, I don't know. Like making money and making your thing, like all the, like getting lots of business partnerships and buy-ins, and even if it's like it's not a matter of technology in a lot of cases, it's a matter of just like business use cases that are money making use cases. So if you can find some product that's going to make a lot of money and you convince them to come over and use Polygon instead of using Gnosis chain, now you've just created a lot more money on your chain. So I think Gnosis chain has not kept up anywhere near as well as Polygon, and ID chain's even less so. Like ID chain has made zero effort to try to like bring money onto its platform. So,
and Gnosis use a stable coin for their gas fees. So
yeah, so that's an interesting choice that I think makes it more difficult for them to bring money onto their platform.
Yeah, less
I
speculative.
like that choice. I think that's I think
I
that's
liked it.
convenient because what I was talking about before, it's like, well, there's a lot of things. Okay, so let's say that I'm using Ethereum for multi-sigs and for Gnosis Safe and for Aragon DAOs. And I don't want the gas token to be something that is like always fluctuating in price. That's really annoying. And it's cost BrightID as a little organization. It's cost us so much headache to have to, because when we got into Ethereum mainnet, I didn't even think about that as like an issue, that would become an issue. I thought, oh, cool, there's all these governance tools. Let's start using those. But then it became, we had to invent all these workarounds to try to deal with this, like the increase in the value of Ethereum that ended up costing us a lot of money to have to make those workarounds. So anyways, that was annoying. So that I like Gnosis Chain because it doesn't have that problem. And as far as like ID Chain, it also doesn't have that problem. So I don't know. It's weird. I would like to know Vitalik's thoughts on that. I've talked to him about it a little bit, but not really in detail. But yeah, I mean, he sees it as a problem too. He's not just like, woohoo, Ethereum's, worth $1,000. Yay, let's all party. I don't think that's, I mean, he realizes that like trying to scale with a token that's highly volatile it has a lot of challenges.
But I mean, it was the intent. I mean, the purpose of the token, that if there is a lot of movement, you will slow the movement, being more expensive in the gas. Maybe it's just too expensive in comparison with everything else. But the thing with the gas exists because that to limit the transactions, I think, right? So
yeah, you have to have a block gas limit, and then basically the miners set the price. And
yeah, so
yeah.
that's the purpose of the gas fees.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah,
why
you have to have gas.
yeah, so I mean,
so
what
ID
happened if the
gas,
Ethereum cost value is $100,000? So what will
yeah,
happen
then
with the
then
gases?
if that was the only thing that changed, then and demand didn't change and stuff like that, then the miners just set they just reduce the gas fees by a factor of 100. And so in terms of GUI, so that's,
That can sort out a solution for that
so it
problem.
doesn't, yeah, I mean, that part balances itself out. But what I like about ID Chain is we made it, so we fixed the gas price at 10 ED GUI, and so it's always 10. Like you always set it to 10 when you make a transaction, and then we burn all the gas fees. So that's, I like that approach better, but it doesn't make anybody any money. So
Yeah,
that's anyways, it's
but
it's
you
weird.
feel good, you feel fine using AD chain. I mean,
Yeah,
for what you see, but if you see some other solutions,
yeah, that's why I was looking at Polygon Avail. Oh, sorry,
BrightID could
screen, I should stop.
just change from AD chain.
Oh yeah, yeah. It can use any blockchain. It can pretty easily change to using something else for its message passing. Doesn't need to use ID chain. So that's why I'm always looking at things like Polygon and Veil. So let's say that Polygon and Veil says, all right, for our consensus and for figuring out who's going to be able to run a node in the Polygon and Veil network, let's use BrightID, and let's use like the same sort of model that ID chain is using. Then that's fine. We can just say, okay, I guess we don't need ID chain anymore. Let's just focus our efforts on Polygon and Veil or something like that.
Okay,
That's
that's
yeah.
good to know.
Yeah, we just need to make sure that we have something that is not going to change in unexpected ways in the future. Okay, so we've already transitioned once. BrightID used to use Rinkeby testnet. And then we realized, wait a minute, this is actually like when it would go down.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, this is a test net. It can just go down.
Or
So
they
we
can
can't
do
use a test
something
net. So,
weird.
yeah.
Yeah.
So then we had to make something that wasn't a test net. And like I said, we looked at Matic, we looked at Gnosis chain, and we're like, okay, but there's nothing here with either of these chains that guarantees that it's going to become cheap. Their models at the time, if one of those suddenly became as popular as Ethereum, there was nothing to stop the gas fees from becoming as expensive as mainnet Ethereum.
And the way that
I remember asking I forgot his name. Anyways, Igor from XDAI chain, like, well, what do you do? What's your plan if it becomes really popular? And he said sharding, which is like the mainnet Ethereum plan too. Well, that answer's not good enough for BrightID. So anyways.
but
Well, unless you
is
think of like ID chain as a shard, then
what is the problem with the the popularity of a network? I mean, is that it's going to be more expensive, right?
yeah, exactly. It just needs to
And
scale.
exactly how expensive is going to be for BrightID in this case? What I mean is, what is the expensive use on BrightID? Every connection that you make is going to be more expensive for the network, or is when you make a new account?
It just becomes really expensive because right now it's the expense of running a BrightID node. We just basically give BrightID nodes ED, which is the gas token on ID chain. It's cheap enough that we can just give it to them, and so that's fine. But let's say that it was running, and by we I mean the validator set of ID chain can vote and say, okay, we're going to give some tokens, some ED tokens to these BrightID validators or BrightID node operators, and that's fine. And that works, and that will always work. But you can't, let's say it was running on Gnosis chain, you couldn't do that, or Polygon. You can't do that. You can't, unless you have something like I was saying, like let's say Polygon and Veil says, okay,
Yeah.
BrightID is a core component. Then maybe they have some of the fees that they collect, because Veil has a fee model. So they say some of the fees that we collect are going to go to pay for the BrightID nodes. Great. Now you've got a way to make sure that it's sustainable. That's fine. So we could work with something like that. But we can't really work with something that, so basically what I'm saying is whatever network BrightID uses, BrightID has to be a core component in it. And that works with ID chain because of the consensus method that it uses BrightID. I think it's a good consensus method that can save money, that can be more resilient against attacks than say something that relies just on money, like proof of stake. I think it's harder to acquire BrightID's accounts, because they're used for other things and because you're not just tying up the money, then it would be to like acquire the capital needed to attack proof of stake. So, you know, Ethereum mainnet has its model where it's just like, okay, our network is worth $1 trillion, and that's what makes it hard to attack it, because it uses proof of stake and it's worth $1 trillion. If you've got, like, let's say Gnosis chain is worth $1 million, well, now it's like really unclear if you can protect that for that price. So it's like, okay, that's trickier. So anyways, but I think it's worth more than $1 million, but I think you get the point. Like, proof of stake has been defeated in the past when there wasn't enough money on the line. So anyways.
Yeah, it's for the future, right? At least in Genesis. Right now, how it's working, BrightID and a chain, I think is fine, right? And
yeah, it's
long
fine.
run.
Well, I mean, it's not great because it's not as decentralized as I would like it to be, and the reason is because it's not exciting for people. Like, people want to run an Ethereum node. It's exciting because
Yeah.
there's money there, and same with Polygon, and actually even Gnosis chain made it so, and now with Gnosis chain, there's more money to be made from being a validator in Gnosis chain. But not just that, it's like, it's also just being excited about using the chain for things. So I think if you get people excited about using the chain, then it's not that hard to get people to be excited about being validators.
But you read what Polygon and Bale say. They can run thousands of chains. So why you will be excited to use this chain or this chain? You use the chain because you have to, not because you like to.
Yeah.
Yeah. You are in a smart chain, or you are in Phantom, or you are because you have to do something there. No, because hey, I want to test this, or I want to. I mean, it should be people that like to do things in the networks, in different networks. But I mean, the average user has to be in a network because they need to use that network, not for anything else. And sometimes you are like doing something or reading about a project, and from nothing, hey, but we use Clint network, and what is that? And you need to read about how to use Clint on MetaMask and how to a lot of things, just because you want to use that thing, not because you want to use the network itself. So yeah, that is something that the people do.
Yeah. Well,
anyway, I think it's really good because it's that the people doesn't care about the networks. The people, I mean, they know that the technology is good, but what they want to do is use the applications and see the things that can be done with the applications. So yeah, I think it's worth it to talk sometimes.
Yeah, every network that I know of except Ethereum has built their chain around, like, the technology doesn't, like, the technology is not important. What's important is that they have a team that goes out and creates business relationships and basically convinces, however they do it, they weren't able to convince us, but they go and convince like a bunch of businesses, hey, you should be on this, you should be on our chain. And that's how they become successful. It's not the technology. Like, they could have no new technology and still be successful and raise billions of dollars just by somehow convincing businesses to join them. So anyways, that's
yeah.
But there are roll-up chains so that have like actual good technology.
Look who is there.
Philip's here. So we've been talking about ID chain.
In
And
general, yeah, it's a little bit dense talk because it's a lot of technical things, but I think it's good to
yeah,
talk about it sometimes.
I've tried to stay non-technical mostly. But yeah.
I think
So-
we are on time.
Anyways, are there any other topics that that are on our mind in the next 10 minutes?
I don't know, maybe there is announcements for to come to something to come from on BrightID or anything? No? This month or these weeks? Nothing new?
Not yet. I mean, some really exciting stuff is brewing with Unitap. So if you haven't
Cool.
followed Unitap on Twitter, definitely do that. I mean, we'll
Yeah,
announce
definitely.
we'll announce it too on BrightID. But yeah, Unitap is undergoing a massive change to add new types of taps. So I'll just give a quick overview of a couple of the taps. Yes, Donnie's not here. Philip can chime in if he wants. But a couple of the taps that I'm really excited about are token tap, which is a way for a project to give out their tokens. Right now, we just have gas tokens for different networks on Unitap, but token taps allow other type of utility tokens or just whatever token. For example, SongADAO is giving away their song token, like little bits of their song token, so that you can participate in things like ranking songs and categorizing songs and voting on songs and other stuff that like other cool stuff you can do to enhance your participation in SongADAO. They'll give you some of their song token. That's token tap. So yeah, you can imagine there's lots of things you could do with token tap, lots of different tokens you could give away. And the important part is that you're giving them away to like real humans. You're not just airdropping them to wallets or something. So that's a big benefit of giving away tokens that way.
And not only real humans, but humans that want that specific thing.
Yes.
When given a choice among other things.
Right. That's a really important aspect of Unitap. Is you'll notice if you go to Unitap, there's a bunch of networks. You can choose 5 that you want to collect the gas token for. It's going to be a similar thing with token tap. There's going to be a bunch of different projects giving away their tokens. You get to pick 5 or some limited number of the ones that you really want. And then that sends a signal and allows Unitap to rank projects and networks based on their popularity. So it's kind of like, it's like a market without a market. It's like, that's one of the most important things that markets do is markets give a signal. Well, like, do people want bread or do people want eggs? Or do people want, do people want Doritos or do people want, I don't know. It's like a market will help you decide that. But this is like, okay, rather than turning things into like a capitalist market system, let's give things away, but let people choose what they want to receive. And then that will also generate the same sorts of signals. We'll be able to know like, okay, well, bread DAO that, gives away loaves of bread, they're really popular, but like, Gummy Bear DAO isn't as popular as bread DAO. So let's put more resources into baking bread than into making gummy bears or something. So like, it's really cool. It's like, it should be really interesting. You can imagine like, it's just whatever people can possibly do with tokens are the types of tokens that could be on there.
And it's funny because there's lots of parts, but one is what people choose, but they can only choose it if it's there. So if there's a really popular token that's up there and then everyone takes it all and there isn't any left, then no one can take it. So it's going to drop in the rankings because like next week, if it's empty, it goes down. So if you had some reason to wish it to remain popular, somebody needs to fund the tap, else people can't take it. So like you can only be at the top if people want it and it's available to give it to them.
Right. So that's a really exciting one. And then there's something else. So let's say that you don't want to just give like dust to people. You want to give meaningful amounts. Like instead of giving someone a loaf of bread, maybe you want to give them like, you know, pay for their rent for a year or something like that. But you don't have enough money to give it to everybody. So what you can do is, we're taking a page out of the book from Mein Grundeinkommen, which it means my basic income in German, which is a very popular program that I think is still running in Germany, where anyone can fund this prize tap, but then it does a raffle and it gives away a meaningful prize to just anyone who's registered. And then like these are sometimes life-changing amounts of goods, but it doesn't have to be. It could just be like, let's say you have an NFT that's worth $1,000. You don't have a way of fractionalizing it, but you want some lucky person to get it, and you want it to be a human, and so you give it to Prize Tap, and then people can get they can get access to a ticket. Like everybody can. Well, again, it's a choice. Like if there's 1,000 things being given away, you get to pick the 5 that are the most interesting to you, and you get to register to win like something that's maybe more valuable, one of these one-time things. And then there's also so that's Prize Tap. Yeah, so those are the things that are coming out that I'm really excited about. What did I miss, Philip?
ETA.
Oh, ETA very soon, like this month.
Very soon. Yeah.
Soon,
You need to be tuned.
Yeah, very soon that Unitap will be expanding its offerings. And so it's just going to get more and more compelling. Like we know that free money sells.
We think free money sells. We have not actually proven this yet. No, it sounds funny, and like we've always said that we believe that it will. We need to actually see it in practice, though. It seems intuitive, but also remember, it's not just that like. So free money, we know free money sells to bots, but
Yeah.
what is required? Right, it sells really well to bots.
Yeah.
What hurdles are humans willing to go through in order to access that? We don't actually know that yet. We think we have our hypothesis. We'll see.
Right. Yeah.
Also, to speaking of Prize Tap, and I mentioned this the other day in the Unitap Discord, but I think that very early on in Prize Tap's existence, we should launch at least 3 monetary prize taps that drain at different rates. I've dreamed of this for years now, and I didn't know exactly.
Prizes or tokens? Are those prizes or tokens?
Well, so I think we should start it as a prize,
Okay.
because that way right, there's a prize tap in the simplest version. Whatever's in that account at the end of the week, like somebody's going to win that, whether it's $50, $100, $1,000. Anyone can put money in. Someone's getting that prize. There's another one. It works just like that. It's that instead of giving out 100% of what's in the pot, it gives out, say, 10% of what's in the pot, leaving 90% for next week's plus whatever new money comes in. So hopefully money will come in. Hopefully that each week the prize is bigger than the one before it, but who knows? And then another one that's saying 1%. So like, how long do you, when you're deciding which tap to put your money into, you're deciding like over how long do you want this to be distributed? Is this a long-term thing or is this a short-term thing? I've talked about similar concepts for token taps and for lots of people, but that's way more complicated. I think we can just build the simple prize version faster, easier. It's easier to get your head around.
No, that's it. That's to the future, right? Right now it's just thinking, because I mean you can get different kind of prices. No only money, but it could be
People can give away anything
give
that they
anything.
want, that they can
If you give
convince their
away-
team
if-
to.
If you
list.
give away your
It's,
spam coin that no one wants,
yeah, exactly.
then you don't have to. People don't have to take it. I mean, some people will take it because they don't know any better, but like the legitimate ones will certainly rise to the top. Like word will get around. Like, okay, this one's like once you actually go and read.
I will get Navarro
Let's say
coins.
that there's 100 different NFTs being given away on Prize Tap, and like two of them are just garbage. It's pretty easy to go check on OpenSea and be like, okay, this one's worth nothing.
Yeah, a lot more than 2 of them are going to be garbage if there's 100. You know, like
Yeah.
my more
but
active.
okay, so even if it's 90% garbage, the 10 real ones are gonna be, the 10 real ones are going to be at the top.
Right, and now at the beginning, I assume that Unitap team is going to curate what even gets up.
Yeah,
all.
at the beginning. At the
At
beginning.
some point, that opens up. I don't know exactly how it looks, but
So
at the
that's a good
beginning, like Unitap team has to make each listing, create each tap.
Yeah.
So-
When there's not that many choices, Unitap team can do that easily. When there's a ton of choices, the nice thing about it
should be the people.
it basically curates itself once
Right.
there's a lot of choices. Yeah. So what there's 100,000 garbage entries, as long as there's like 100 good ones up at the top, and that's what people see, that's fine.
And also, you know, it's on cheap networks. It's one thing. I'm sure, like, if this was on ETH mainnet, like there's even just if the prize is on ETH mainnet, like that's got to be a new contract that gets set up. That's not an insubstantial amount of gas, I would guess.
Yeah. You mean to like register your giveaway? So are you talking about like the fee that a spammer would have to pay to register, or what are you talking about?
Yeah, basically. Or I mean, right now, right, like each, I don't know.
Well, one thing that I'm not clear about is so like on a network like ETH mainnet, who pays the gas? I'm assuming that, okay, so for gas tap, obviously you don't pay the gas, but I'm assuming that because Unitap also has gas tap, you are kind of expected go to the gas tap, get enough gas so that you can claim your other stuff like your tokens and your prizes. Like I don't think that Unitap or the prize creators are going to have to pay the gas to distribute their prizes. I think they'll have to pay something to set it up, and we could think about adding a base fee. So there's already a 1% fee for putting up something to give away, but we could also have a base fee so that if you're rather than like, in addition to taking 1% of your worthless thing, which makes $0 for Unitap. In addition, you also have to pay $5 or something.
I think a simple NFT transfer on mainnet still costs like $5, right?
Right now.
Oh yeah,
It could change in any moment.
Yeah,
Right. But you know, rough numbers, and of course it's always changing. I think it costs like $5 or something to just do a simple transfer of a single NFT on mainnet.
Yeah.
So Unitap can't bear that cost. Also, a prize winner isn't getting nearly that much gas from Unitap.
You should pay, yeah, the person that the winner should pay that gas.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
except that we're trying to be a thing that gets someone from 0 to 1.
I mean, you could have it there, just no minted.
Well, that's why the gas tap
moment.
goes with it. The gas
Except
tap,
but not mainnet. The most use there are very few NFTs that are not on mainnet that have any meaningful value.
Mhm.
Right. There's not like NFTs on Gnosis chain that have that. There's not even really NFTs on Polygon. that
What
have
is what is the tough process of the winner? They say how much this NFT costs. Oh, it costs $20. So I'm going to pay the gas. I'm going to mint it. I'm going to get it, and then I'm going to sell it. I'm going to pay another $5 to sell it. If I don't have my OpenSea account already, I already allow it to do transactions. So you need to pay more. So you say, yeah, I can sell it and I get something, or I'm going to keep it, or this is not worth it to claim. So I'm going to let it there in the web page without paying the gas to claim it.
Right.
Like
So we've got, I assume we're going to have some time limit to claim your prize before
that, yeah.
Yeah.
it's going to get redistributed to somebody else.
Right. And so that's, that's another benefit of having the Unitap pass is, which we haven't talked about. So you can, if you're watching this on YouTube,
Made it this far.
you'll know in a couple weeks. But that's one of the benefits of having Unitap pass is.
Hold on, but we can't go delivering things to people on mainnet.
No.
It's too expensive to just like blindly do it.
It's not blindly. It's like that's what you're paying for when you get a Unitap pass.
But not a mainnet, you're not. No way. You're not paying enough. You're not paying enough to have, especially if Unitap opens up such that we're not curating every auction. Curating every raffle. If every raffle is carefully curated, then fine. It's okay to spend $5 per.
It's not as expensive as you think it is. So you buy your Unitap pass. What is you're not guaranteed to win. It's not not every prize is going to be won by a pass holder.
Right.
The ones that do, it's just one person that wins it. And let's say that every 10 prizes is won by a pass holder. So every 10 times we have to pay like the gas for one person. That's a tiny amount compared to how much.
That's fine if it's curated by us, but if anybody can put the asset up, thing can be raffled, then I can't, because
I 100% agree. 100% agree. Yeah, this is you don't get free entries in, like when we give you free entries into prize taps for being a Unitap pass holder, we're not going to give you garbage. It's only going to be we're only going to enter you in the top tier ones.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, right. I don't mind transferring real ones, but I
need to go to this
OpenSea. I'm like, what is all this garbage that people are putting in it?
Yeah, exactly. We're not gonna pay the gas fees to transfer garbage around. Especially if it's one of those NFTs where it's like, oh, thank you for sending me this thing that I can't get rid of out of my wallet now. Yeah, we're definitely not going to be paying the gas to send those around. Yeah.
I just know a lot of projects have gotten themselves into trouble when they are offering to pay gas for people for anything. Like any project that's been like, oh yeah, we cover gas, goes like, oh God, what have we done?
Yeah. Well, that's why with the Unitap pass, it's like we will pay the gas for you if you happen to win, and and we will only enter you in real stuff. So yeah, it'll be worth it. Okay, Victor's got to go. I think we should probably wrap up. Thank you, everybody. It's been a good discussion, and we'll have more to talk about next week. See ya.